Hey guys, Scott Layton here. I Expat Life, Renaissance Spirit Channel. This is my immigration update. First off, Merry Christmas Eve. Today is the 24th of December, 2025. I have been here in Tirana, Albania since the 7th of December. And I promised you in my shorts and my other videos that I'd give you an update on my immigration and status. Before I do that, let me just go and give you some background in case you haven't watched any of my previous videos. I am 55 years old. I retired from my job last month on the 3rd of November. Basically, I was just unhappy in America. I was unhappy with my quality of life. I was unhappy with where my life was going. I was unhappy with the politics, the culture wars, the economic inequality, just everything. I decided that I didn't want to spend the next 12 to 15 years of my life working and then enjoy retirement. I wanted to do it while I was still young enough to be able to go and take an adventure and to try to build the life that I wanted to. So I've been saving for a house prior to this, and I actually started looking actively right before the pandemic started. Bad timing on my part as far as the house goes. But that gave me an opportunity to move. I had some savings. Beyond that, I am living off of my YouTube. My channel's monetized now. And I have a 401k, but at my age, at 55, I didn't want to start taking out disbursements from that until I turned 59 and a half because I didn't want to go and get the penalties. So I decided to come here to Tirana, Albania, and I started the paperwork, I think in September, got everything ready, packed, prepped, flew out of Pittsburgh, my previous home, on the 5th, got here actually in Albania on the 6th. It was like 11:30 at night. I ended up just getting a hotel room that night because I didn't want to come into the city, Tirana, in the middle of the night. I'm like, let's just start fresh early in the morning on the 7th. So that's what I did. I applied for what they call a unique permit here in Albania. And that was something that you have to do while you're out of the country, and then you finish the process in country. So that's what I did. And I applied under what they call a digital mover or digital nomad. I got here on that Tuesday, my first Tuesday. I went to the immigration office and I was told to expect an email with further information. Having not received that, I went to an immigration attorney and he told me, this was Monday of this past week, today being Wednesday, that I would not qualify for that because I didn't have a contract with an employer. I then went to the immigration office yesterday, Tuesday, to confirm that information and was told that, yes, I did need a contract. So that's kind of where I'm at currently. The immigration attorney told me that I could apply for a business, that I could run it through my channel as a business. And the costs weren't prohibitive by any stretch. Let me just share some numbers with you. The social and welfare, including health insurance, would cost me 150 euros per month. So that's about $176.68. I would also have to go and pay municipal taxes for the business, and that's yearly, 50 to 150 euros. So anywhere between $58.89 to, again, $176.68. And then I'd also have to go and pay accounting fees per month of 50 euros. So that's $58.89. His individual charges for the whole process were quite reasonable on top of those that I just mentioned. But I was concerned about the idea of starting a business. I didn't want to do any sunk costs. And since I'm living off of my YouTube and my savings at this point, I didn't want to tie myself down into something that I didn't know what the escape route would be if I needed to. So I've decided not to do that. So before I continue and give you my latest plan, let me first say as a caveat that this is not advice. I'm just giving you an update in my particular situation, what I think is working for me from a rational, compassionate standpoint, and also just, financially. So in brief, I have a short-term and long-term plan, and basically it involves traveling the world and taking you with me through YouTube. My short-term plan is to stay in Albania for the rest of this year and then until December of 2026. As an American, we are allowed to stay in Albania visa-free for up to a year. I can come back to Albania, which is what I'm planning to do then, but I have to be out of the country for 90 days. So in that interim, I will just travel to a different country, and then once the 90 days are up, I can come back here, and I will do that until I'm 59 and a half, so I can go and start collecting disbursements out of my 401k without having any penalties. Let me just stop you there. A 401k is not a pension scheme. It's something that I and my employer was very, very gracious to be able to give us matching contributions and sometimes extra contributions on top of that. So I was lucky as far as that goes. But if I were to go and do it now, there is a rule that says that if you are 55 and you start taking disbursements, you can go and do it without penalty if you do it the same year that you left your job, if your job and the plan allows that. But for some other countries, that isn't copacetic and isn't legal enough. So beyond the penalties and beyond that, I just decided to wait until 59 and a half. So that's my plan at this point. So I'm just going to be a vagabond expat until I turn 59 and a half. I'm turning 56 in March of next year, 2026. So I don't have that long to go. And then my long-term plan is move to the EU, come 59 and a half, once I can take my disbursements for my 401k, apply for a retirement residency, and then at 62, I can take Social Security, which is the national government healthcare scheme in America. So that's my plan. And honestly, at this point, it is a load off of my mind. The stress, the not knowing what my status was, not knowing how things were going to go, was really weighing me down. It's been a rough couple of weeks here, but like I said in previous videos, I haven't had any problems. Everyone's been great. I have talked to a few locals, and that's another reason I decided to not stay here permanently. I don't want to take advantage of Albanians. What I mean by that is, Albania currently is in a rough situation, as is a lot of countries. Economic inequality here in America, in a lot of places, are getting progressively worse. The salaries here can range between, on average, $400 to $800 a month. Rent here can average $400 to $600 a month for most people. And again, the prices can go up a lot more than that. On average, 60% of Albanians currently are spending money on rent. So I just felt uncomfortable with staying here permanently because of those reasons. Also, unemployment here is close to 10%. There is a big economic disparity between the haves and have-nots in Albania, as it is in America, as it is in many places. But I wanted to fit in more, and I didn't want to feel like I was taking advantage of the system. So everything I told you about my short-term and long-term plans are legal, are reasonable, are compassionate, and I just thought that that would be a better course. When I have the ability to start taking the disbursements for my 401k, I will be in a much better position to be able to apply for residency as a retiree. There are many countries in Europe, in the EU in particular, that offer plans for such people, as long as you have active income. And that was my biggest problem at this point, was I was getting money, but only through YouTube, not through a company, so I didn't have a contract. So I wasn't eligible for the unique permit. So this plan makes the most sense for me in my particular situation. This isn't advice. I'm not saying this would work for everybody. There are a lot of things to consider, finances being the most obvious, as well as visas, as well as the residency requirements of wherever you end up moving to. So as I take you with me virtually through my channel, The Renaissance Spirit, we will be exploring Albania for the next year. And then for the 3 months after that, I'm thinking Australia. I mean, why not? Life is short. There are places I've never been to before and places I've wanted to go back to that I just did a quick sample because I was only available on vacation, for 2 weeks to travel, because America doesn't do the month-long holidays that a lot of countries do. So I'm just going to do slow living, frugal living, make my money last as long as I can because it is finite. And then at 62, get my Social Security, like I said. So that's my plan. I am going to go from my suitcase and backpack to one bag after I leave my very, very small Airbnb. I plan to just do the Airbnb route for the next, 3-4 years until I find something permanent and then move to an EU country. So I've done a couple of videos on this and I decided to just condense it into this one and just see what your thoughts are. And I did want to address one other issue. I did a video, I think it was last week, on I may never find love again. And this plan does certainly mean that having a relationship in the next 3 or 4 years might be a difficult proposition. So I just wanted to let you know that I plan to hopefully meet with you, my Renaissance spirits, in various places and socialize, find out, what it's like for you and your experience. And for people that are locals and expats, just find out what the situations are like wherever you live or wherever you left, if you left and went somewhere else. Tell me if this all sounds crazy, but I ran the numbers for my particular case, and honestly, this was the most reasonable choice. I didn't want to go back to America. I explained why I left. If I went back at this point, I would feel like I was going backwards. And honestly, with the quality of living in most countries and with the cost of living, this is certainly doable for me in my particular situation. So that's all for now, guys. It is Christmas Eve. I was thinking about going to Mount Daci today, but they don't have snow. And honestly, I spent most of the day just researching and planning and thinking about these things that I just told you about. And again, I feel much happier now than I did Monday and Tuesday. It's nice to have a plan. It's nice to know that you're making some logical, reasonable steps for your life. And I just want to be happy. I think everyone deserves that. And for me, at this point in my life, this is the best option for me. I don't want to do this at 60 or 65 or 70. Who knows what my health is going to be like? Who knows what my mobility is going to be like? So I didn't really do much outside of my studio Airbnb today. I am going to eat a nice tortellini dinner, something small because it's kind of late. And then tonight I'm going to St. Paul's Cathedral for a Christmas concert. It starts at 10:15, and then after that there's a mass at 11 for the Christmas Eve vigil. So that's all for now, guys. Take care. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing and for being a part of my life, especially now more than ever. It's good to talk and relate to you all. Take care.